Okay, so we're going to take a look at some case studies of children with autism or sensory issues of special needs trying to get their hair cut, whether it's at home or in a barbershop, different levels of functioning with different needs that you'll see. And I'm going to pause the video to try to explain to you and discuss what we can do to have helped these children in these cases. What are some tools we could have interjected to try to calm the cut. Okay, so we're going to start with a boy named Aiden who's on YouTube, and he has a YouTube channel about his autism, and the parents filmed his haircut. So I'd like to show the haircut and pause in between and discuss with you some things and strategies I think that would have made a difference with this haircut. Okay, he is at a barber shop or hairdresser of some sort, and he seems relatively high functioning, has a lot of language, talks, and he's just doing the best he can. So let's get started with this. Okay.
And adventures that commented, and we will do lots of fun stuff, and we will get a haircut this year, tomorrow, but shuts the lights off, and there are lots of fun stuff.
Are you going to Ace Hardware after this?
Yeah, that's a ceiling fan, and that ceiling fan does turn on. It does turn on.
Yep, it is on, isn't it?
That ceiling fan has cane blades.
Yes, it does. Very good.
4 blades. And the adventures that commented, and there are lots of fun stuff you can do.
Can you sit still for her? Keep your head still.
Okay, we'll pause it right there. Okay, so you can see that the child is verbal. He's speaking about going to Ace Hardware after his haircut. That must be a reward that he likes to have, because a lot of these children with autism have particular interest in either particular stores or particular items, and he's self-talking about that to soothe himself in this process, to remind himself that he has a reward coming after this. So the hairdresser asking, oh, you're going to Ace Hardware from here, that was really good. I'd like to see that. Maybe even more discussion about what do you see at Ace Hardware, what are your favorite things there, what other stores do you like. May have kept the child interested in the conversation longer. He's pointing out a ceiling fan and talking about what type of ceiling fan it is. So he's obviously has this knowledge of hardware and electronics, and it's very interesting to see. But you can see he starts to fidget, and the father says, sit still, stay still, keep your hands still. That gets worse as this video goes on. The child has nothing in hand to try to prevent him from fidgeting motion. So this is where our fidget toys come in handy. Those stress balls, those fidget spinners, the fidget cubes, giving him a choice of an item to hold on to lessen his need of that movement. Obviously, he's also sitting on a chair. He has a lot of motion, so the wobble seat may have helped this child as well to kind of keep him from making a motion within the seat that keeps him comfortable. Okay, let's watch. It says here you can see him start to get uncomfortable and agitated. So the haircut experience gets harder for him the longer it goes on. Okay.
You're alright.
Try to hold still so you don't get all itchy.
Hey, hold still. You can do it. I'll take you to Ace Hardware when we're done, if you can hold still.
Adventures with autism, and they will.
Okay. You can also see there his hand coming out from under the apron, under his chin. Children with autism like something called proprioceptive input, or it's sensory input. The pressure feels good for them. It's calming and relaxing. A lot of times that pressure is under the chin. You'll see them. I have a son with autism who often would just push his chin into things on the table, into items, to give himself that comfort. and his hands coming up through his apron at this point. The agitation's getting worse. So again, those fidget items in his hands may help with that need. If you see a child pressing under the chin or trying to give themselves this input, the chew toys or the oral input item necklace we have that comes with the kit may be a good point at this point to ask that child if he'd like to chew on that, because that chewing gives that same type of pressure that he's looking for at this point. Okay, let's continue and see what else happens as this child is trying his best.
Look at your toes for a minute. Look at your toes. Look down.
Look down at your feet for me.
Look at your feet right here. Look right here. Look at the camera.
There you go. Okay guys, this is Blake and we are at my shopping video and we will do lots of fun stuff. And this is Blake and we are at haircut video and at the house and we will...
Sit still. Keep it on you. We need to cover you.
Way
Hey.
more itchier.
Hey.
Take it off.
Hey, just leave it where it is, buddy.
Pull some hair off, yeah.
Okay, two things happening there. The sit still, they're asking the child to sit still, but there's no tools to give him to help him with the sitting still. So again, these fidget items we have, these wobble seats will help with that sitting still. Also at this point, the hairdresser takes a hairdryer and just starts drying in the back. He doesn't know that's coming, so he gets a little irritated with that. It's important to try to tell the child one step at a time, this is what's coming next. Oh, look at my hairdryer. We're gonna blow it, get that hair off for you. Do you wanna hold the hairdryer? Can we hold it together? This is what the hairdryer sounds like. Do you feel the air coming out of the hairdryer? Can we put that on your neck now to get that hair off of you? So that the child isn't startled or become more agitated. Sometimes they like to take control. They might actually want to do it themselves, or just a knowing that that's what's coming next helps to keep the child relaxed and soothed. So let's just watch him for a few more seconds.
Yep. If you can do a good job cutting the top, then we'll go to Ace Hardware after this. Blake will take you.
So he hates getting water.
Sounds like fun.
Alright, it's just water, Aiden. Hey! Hey! Keep your hands in there. You're fine.
I
Doing
can
fine.
only fit Ace Hardware.
Okay, then just sit still for a little bit. She's almost done.
Okay.
Doing nice. Doing a nice job.
So very common is the child not tolerating the water being sprayed on them. An option for that is to show the child that this is water and you're going to spray it onto your hands, and then show them that your hand is wet and you're just going to put your hand on their head to try to wet the hair in that way, or allow them to spray it on themselves, which you may or may not have luck with that. A lot of people have more luck with spraying their hands and wetting the hair that way instead of a spray bottle. It's another option, something to try to discuss with the child. Again, that sitting still is getting worse and worse, so this child really needs some tools to keep him, whether he's looking at a fidget spinner. At this point, when it's getting this restless, the timer would come in handy to say, we're almost done. I believe she's about to tell him they're almost done. And saying you're almost done might be better to give him a specific time.
Hey, you're alright. Hey. You're okay, Aiden. What's wrong? Okay, sit still then. Just sit still for another few minutes and then we'll go to Ace Hardware. Just sit still, you're alright. Just sit just like that.
Can you sing a song? Sing a song.
Okay, I love that the child has a reinforcer of her going to Ace Hardware. He obviously loves to talk about that through this haircut. So that's a wonderful thing that the parents are able to give him that and understand obviously their child and what his interests are, and they use that to get him through a difficult experience. So kudos to them for that. I may also add a reinforcer that's present immediately, something that's a little faster than what's coming up ahead. So something that he can have right away, maybe a break, or maybe an item, maybe a lollipop, maybe an M&M, maybe something. You would talk to the parents and ask them outside of the big reinforcer of going to Ace Hardware. Other smaller reinforcers you can use, a little reward during the haircut, that he can pause and get something that he likes at home, whether it's, you know, a little food item or a break to have a conversation of what he's interested in, even if it's for 30 seconds. That's where I'd like the timers to come in. If he's squirming like this and they're saying it's almost done, it's good to say, let's do this for another minute, and then we can talk about Ace Hardware for a minute and then go back to the haircut for a minute, or something like that. This is trial and error in learning the child and what works best, but there's obviously more tools here to help the kid try to sit still. There would be items for his hands and to help him with his wobbling, and for his chin, and possibly some oral input as well. Let's see. They're asking him if he wants to sing a song, and I think he gets irritated by that.
I don't want to sing a song as well, but I will not sing a song, but I want to sing a song.
Twinkle, twinkle. Hey. Sit still, buddy.
Tell me what you're going to do at Ace Hardware.
I'm going to look at waiters, and we will do lots of fun stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the sing a song was upsetting to him, but as soon as she brought that Ace Hardware conversation back into the haircut, he relaxed and started talking about it. So talking to the parent about what they have in mind for their reinforcer. What is that child's specific interests? For some kids, it's the presidents, or it's cars, brands of cars, or Google Maps, or Minecraft, or types of video games, where you can direct the conversation into, tell me about this, or do you like that? Especially if they're verbal children like he is. It's going to grab his attention and take the focus off of what's happening, which is really what this is about, to relax their sensory system while taking the focus off of what's happening. So that's Aiden. He proceeds with the haircut, talks about Ace Hardware, and does get it done. Maybe we could watch another second.
Yeah, I will take a waiter home for you, and I will buy one at home, and I'll pay for the money, and I will unbox it for you,
Okay.
and I will unbox it for you at your mom's house, and you can assemble it, and you can play.
So like I said, you can see when the child's in conversation of his interest, he starts to get distracted with what's happening on his head, which is really good. He's still very squirmy, so again, those fidget toys would come in handy. Options of the toys, this child would be able to choose, oh, I like that, or I want to hold that, and maybe switching that up along the haircut to get him through it. So I hope this was helpful. This was a good case study of a child with language, a lot of movement, particular interests. So this is why the parent intake is very important, to ask the parent prior to a little bit about the child and their interests, because it can be utilized, especially with children that are very verbal, to help ease the haircut. Okay, thank you. Let's watch the next case study. See you soon.